Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? What we're going to be talking about right now is what everyone should know and what you need to know, okay? And I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm just going to have a discussion, okay? And then you take it from there, you do your own research, and that's that, all right? So this is what you need to know, okay? True capitalism is a highly regulated, transparent, fair market system of competition and trade financed through a stable, fixed, value asset backed currency that is available to all people equally. The job market, product cost, economy will always be superior, having 100,000 million trillion billion dollar businesses as opposed to a single $100 billion corporate monopoly. The legislative, executive, judicial branches of government have the sworn duty to prevent, to regulate corporate monopolies for the benefit of the people and private businesses in the United States as well. All actions have consequences. We know this, right? That's not a secret. Okay, you do something, something happens. Hopefully, freedom-loving people in the United States, like you, me, pretty much everybody else, will wake up. And if you have social media, not a lot of us do, but you're going to use what social media you do use, and communication skills and your tools that you have readily available to you to build bridges, unity, or everyone will soon be subjugated as destitute servants to the monopolistic corporations, the dictators, and the central banks of this world. The Federal Reserve Bank has been the largest organized crime scam imposed upon the United States and the world in history. The legislation was passed by a corrupt Congress and illegally signed into law in 1913. Since 1913, this legislation has allowed a privately owned corporation, the Federal Reserve Bank, to print counterfeit fiat currency and use this fiat currency as debt to steal the labor, the innovation, the property, the wealth, the freedom of the citizens of the United States and other nations as well throughout the world. Citizens should understand the ability of a corrupt national government in collusion with corrupt corporate central banks to use this counterfeit fiat currency as debt to close small private businesses, destroy local economies, create multinational corporate monopolies, devastate local tax bases, and financially impact local budgets to mandate every conceivable anti-biblical, anti-family, anti-marriage, anti-conservative, anti-small business, anti-capitalism, anti-constitutional legislation possible. Okay? Forcing local governments to impose and obey their twisted one world order ideology system and legislation, or lose all centralized funding, created by printing debt-based fiat currency. Now, as you contemplate the financial damage that has been caused by a printable fiat currency, keep in mind, all of the central bank dollars in existence are only issued as a debt or a loan. All central bank debt issued will create additional debt through interest charged to the borrowers while devaluing all dollars presently in circulation at the same time, causing so-called inflation. The debt that is created by accrued interest and payable on the loans was never created or even printed and does not exist in circulation. Like, there's no actual paper, okay? Therefore, the debt that is generated by accrued interest can never actually be paid in full. And a percentage of borrowers must eventually become insolvent and forced into foreclosure for non-payment of said debt. The same principle applies for taxes imposed upon non-revenue producing private property. Now, this is the legacy that is perpetrated by privately owned corporate central banks that are in collusion with corporate governments, corrupt controlling that paper fiat currency that we have in our wallets and whatnot. Now, the Federal Reserve Bank and other world central banks are the root cause and the source of government corruption, theft, devaluation of currency, totalitarian policies, multinational corporate monopolies. The Federal Reserve Bank dollar was illegally removed from the gold standard in 1971 by Nixon through an executive order, who received a full presidential pardon from President Ford for all crimes committed while he was in office. Hashtag Watergate was the diversion used on the public, okay? Just like, not going to touch it, but just like we all know why September 2001 happened. There's, you know how they say that there's a reason why that happened. And okay. So think back to all the reasons why you heard about that. And that was to cover up what money was owed by Bush Sr. Okay. We have Watergate. Now we have September 2001. Okay. After Nixon removed the dollar off of the gold standard, Bush went to China, George H.W., and brokered a deal to move the United States manufacturing to China to place worldwide support under the debased FRB dollar. Okay. Now, in addition, Henry Kissinger, He went to the Middle East and he brokered a deal to move most of the United States oil and gas production to OPEC, OPEC. This created the petrodollar to place support under the debased FRB dollar and forcing continued use upon the world as the reserve currency, and also was responsible for the 73-74 gas crises, if you remember that. Okay, now I was born in 76, but I heard about the gas crises. Now, how soon after 1971 did the cities across the United States start to notice the slow loss of small businesses, domestic corporations, domestic manufacturing, and the loss of local tax revenue that was produced by those businesses, followed by an increase in crime, an increase in divorce, an increase in home foreclosures, an increase in business foreclosures, an increase in imports, an increase in multinational monopolistic corporations, an increase in national debt. Okay? This is all perpetuated by the corporate central banks that were in collusion with governments, printing fiat paper currency as debt upon the citizens and the nation. The gold, the silver, the copper, the nickel. They're all natural elements. They have an intrinsic value. It can't be printed, can't be counterfeited by corrupt individuals. They were used for thousands of years as a secure medium of exchange throughout the world for commerce, for trade, for taxes, for storage of wealth. But the next major scam that's going to be imposed upon the United States, the CBDC, right? Central bank digital currency. You've heard about that. If not, backed by gold. And even if it is, who is to say that the same thing happens to it? And just as a side note, the same thing happened with our pharmaceutical industry when Rockefeller entered the scene and petroleum took over our plant-based meds. Now, take it upon yourself, do your own research, form your own opinions, and get back to me. I'll see you guys in the next one. You stay safe, you stay positive, you keep prepping, and as always, fearless. Ciao.